What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the On the Trent podcast. And as again, I've got Dylan with me again. Say hello, Dylan.
Oh, mate, you're right.
And as we announced the other day, we have got ex-Forest defender, ex-Reading defender, ex-Bolton defender. He's been around and done it all over the country. We've got Mr. Matt Mills.
Hi guys, you okay?
And
Yeah, man, we're good.
what basically I'm going to do is just ask him about his career, any advice he's got for young players coming through his time at Forest, and we'll see what he has to say. So, Dylan, do you want to start off with the first one?
Yeah, of course. So, Matt, why did you get into football, or who maybe got into football, or why did you start playing, especially at a high level?
Yeah, so for those that don't know, I've got three brothers, two older brothers, one younger brother. All of us have been fortunate enough to sign professional contracts at one stage or another. So if we're taking it way back, playing in the garden, kind of kicking lumps out of each other.
Yeah.
I guess was probably where it all started. And I think with that, having two older brothers, you want to be better. You want to be better than your siblings, right? So
Yeah.
I think that helped that I had older brothers, made me compete at a better level. And then just like most kids, mate, got involved in local football, and then joined Swindon Centre of Excellence when I was about like 5 or 6 or something.
Yeah, fair enough. Was you always a centre half? Did you always want to play centre half?
No, so I played midfield for years. Played centre midfield for years, and more of a holding mid. So if you play kind of like one sitter and two in front.
Yeah.
And then when I signed for Southampton at 14. I started off there. Within a week or two, they moved me to centre half. I was decent in the air, but more the fact of trying to get the ball from the keeper and start building play and stuff like that. So yeah, moved back to being a centre half fully at 14. Like I had played centre half growing up, but kind of going between the two. But yeah, really kind of nailed down the decision to become centre half probably about 14.
Do you think if that decision wasn't made at the age of 14 to switch to a centre half, you've ever made it into professional football like you did? If you was playing that holding midfield role,
I'm not sure. I mean, I played there in Manchester City reserves a few times. Like, I've played up front for Bolton in the FA Cup against Liverpool. So, I mean, I think football's football. I've played right back numerous times. Wouldn't say I was much good there, but I played there. So I think you'd find your way. I think if you've got talent and drive, ultimately that probably stands you in good stead.
Yeah, fair enough. And obviously, before Forest, you were at quite a few clubs on loan and with other clubs permanently. But the longest you were at was Bolton. How was your time at Bolton then for the 3 years?
Yeah. So I mean, in terms of a young lad coming through the academy, I was fortunate enough to obviously have come through Southampton's academy with some great players: Dio Walcott, Gareth Bale, Dexter Blackstock, Leon Best.
Just dropping them names in there.
Literally, it was loads. Adam Lallana. It was ridiculous.
Yeah,
literally ridiculous. Like we had so many players. It's so difficult to break into a first team as a young player, right? So we were in the Premier League as well at the time. So obviously a few loan moves to gain some experience. For me personally, I always felt if I wasn't playing, I didn't feel like a footballer. I didn't feel like I'd earned my wages. It didn't sit well with me. So yeah, kind of just tried to get as much experience as possible. Like you say, you mentioned there, had my longest spell at Bolton. I think more often than not, when you're younger, if you're doing well, then you obviously move clubs and
of course,
clubs will buy you, and you're kind of on that progression of going up. I kind of did that by going to Man City and then realising, right, I can't get in the first team and play regularly, so I'll have to drop back and kind of try and rebuild again, which was a great decision to do. And I see too many young lads now stay at big clubs on big contracts and they don't rack up enough games, and I think it hurts them when they're 24, 25 and you're like, I've played 50 league games. I think it becomes difficult because me personally, if I was a manager, I'd rather take a 24-year-old that's played 250 championship games over a Premier League prospect that's like had a couple of loan moves, 24, not played many league games. And that was my mentality, to just get out and play.
Fair enough, man. No, fair enough. And obviously, in summer of 2015, you joined Forest on a free. Why Forest? What was the allusion to Forest? The draw, sorry, for Forest.
I mean, I'd had talks with Forest prior to signing for Reading. I met Billy Davis at the City Ground. So Forest is obviously a massive club. Great place to play. Awesome atmosphere. When I realised that my time at Bolton was up, obviously was speaking to numerous clubs, but the fact that Dougie Freeman was the manager and I'd worked with him before, that had obviously played a big bearing on it. And just, I think just the history of the club, size of the club, it's too big a draw not to come.
No, fair enough. And you said you worked for Dougie before. Is he one of your favourites you've worked with then, out of the managers you worked under?
Yeah, I like Dougie. Our relationship got off to a really rocky start at Bolton, but we turned that around. And then I think the thing with managers and players working together, once you know what you're going to get, I think that's quite a big thing. I think sometimes when you're at a club, for example, the second manager, a new manager comes in, you don't know if he's going to like you, you're going to like him, you're going to like the style of play that he's going to get. So for me, it was just an easier transition to go and work with someone that I worked with before.
From a Forest fan point of view, the Dougie Freedman reign, at the time, it was like, could we do better at the time with the manager that we had? But then now years have gone by and seen the circumstances of the owner and stuff underneath him, what a job he did to do what he did.
Honestly, actually unbelievable. When he first went in there from leaving Bolton, the results they were picking up, they were flying. That season from when he took over, like Christmas time to the end of the year. So when they came knocking the pre-season, listen, we were in embargo. The mantra of the football club was sustainability. Get safe, look to come out of embargo and build again.
Yeah,
I was fine. I was happy with that project, knowing that they had good players at the time. I think Nickel, like Lansbury, man. You had good players, a good squad. So I thought, go there. We'll consolidate for a year, come out of embargo, and look to build. So to sack him, whatever it was, like 30 odd games into the championship season when we were safe, it was just like we've achieved our objective. Dougie now knows the players that he needs to get rid of, what he needs to bring in. Like, let's have the summer and let's go at next year. And then to sack him, not bring anyone in. I mean, Philly came in like a day before pre-season. It's like, then he's thinking, I don't know anyone. I don't know who's good. I don't know I need to get rid of. And all of a sudden he starts bringing in players. And you're looking around the dressing room thinking, this is a mess. There's no organisation here. So it was just an absolute ludicrous decision to get rid of him. I
mean, without, obviously, I know you can't say details, but like, what happened for that to happen? Like you said, they had a plan, and it seems to like they just teared up the plan and just moved on. Like, do you know anything that could happen? Was there a fallout with Dougie, or was it just owners being owners?
For people listening to this, I absolutely love you, but the fans played a big part of that. I think we got beat off Huddersfield at home convincingly, and I think Forest fans are thinking, like, Huddersfield, really? But they ended up getting promoted that year. But they turned us over at home because Dougie was under pressure to play a more of an expansive type of football instead of kind of what we were doing. We had like one of the best defensive records in the league. We were winning 1-0. We were playing to our strengths, but the fans weren't happy with the style of football. So we went. I remember the game. We tried to go on the press really high and play expansive, and we got turned over. And then that was the signal then for the crowd to kick off. And then the chairman, I believe the chairman was then forced to say, you have to go because I have to be seen to be doing something, because otherwise I'm going to get the abuse.
Yeah, 100%.
You mentioned it a bit earlier that it was ludicrous to sack Dougie after the 30 games. And this is a question we prepared for later in the podcast, but I feel like it's a perfect time to ask it now. What was it like under the chopping and changing of players and playing under different managers at different times? Did you know whether he was coming or going or what? For me, it's probably why I'm sat here now, 34, retired. I just couldn't physically, I couldn't mentally keep going through it. I was just sick and tired of being at football clubs that promise you a plan and you buy into it. And the type of person I am, it's like,
this is what we're doing. This is what we believe in. Like, do you want to come on this journey with us? I'm like, yeah,
100%.
I'm in. But then when that gets changed, new manager come in, players come in, you think they're not good enough, in all honesty. And you're thinking, you know, when my time I was at Forest, I played consistently. So even though there was probably, you know, 40 or 50 players that come in and out of the club over that 2.5, 3 year period that I was there, I played most weeks, which for me is like a huge like honor, that the fact that I did that, but also it was like I was getting abuse at times of Forest fans, and I'm thinking, but look at all this change. Like, 1 minute I'm playing with him, next minute I'm playing with them. It's like, it's just so much to mentally try and hold together. And obviously then I become captain, and it's like, right, who can we go at next? We've done the manager, we've done the chairman, right, you're getting it. And it was just, it becomes tiresome.
100%. Obviously, like, I know as a Forest fan base, as much as I am one myself and love them, we're very, football fans in general are very in the moment. We never look at the bigger picture. And like you said earlier about how Forest fans didn't want better football, wanted more expansive football. We bring in Montagnier, and we nearly get relegated that year. So I guess it's a case of, you know, be careful what you wish for in Forest terms, because we wish for a new owner, and then, you know, same thing.
Exactly. I mean, it's difficult because, you know, I've been pretty vocal in my opinion of Philippe, and you know, I was thinking, God, sack this guy, you know, get somebody else in. So it's difficult to say no, keep with him, back the manager, when the manager's no good. So I guess it's difficult from the outside. You're thinking, is he a good manager? Is he not a good manager? Should he go? Should he not go? But I think the thing with Dougie is, for me personally, like I said, we had a solid base. We wasn't conceding hardly any goals. I was actually, funny enough, looking at my Instagram the other day, and I'd seen, like, I posted we beat Leeds at Ellen Road 1-0, and we hadn't been beaten in like 14 or something ridiculous. And I'm thinking, you know, screw style of play, like, to not get beat for that long, like, surely that must have been enjoyable for the fans. But it's the expectation of a massive club, and the things that come along with that. That's always gonna not hold Forest back necessarily, but it's always going to be there. Like, Leeds have kind of struggled with it over the years.
I totally agree that the fans expect way too much. Like, don't get me wrong, we are a massive club, and in my opinion, one of the biggest clubs in the country when it comes to what we've won and who's our managers and the players we've had. But like I said, it plays into the part of the pressure that comes from the fans. Like,
yeah, I think the thing with Forest is, when it comes to the supporters, they're incredible. Like, you know, you travel around the world and you see Forest fans, like, that tells you that it's a massive football club. But the reality is, Forest have been out in the Premier League for a long time. And they've had a lot of turnover of managers, a lot of turnover of players. So to manage that expectation is obviously tricky. But like I said, for me, in terms of what I was buying into when I signed for Forest, I felt like we were on that journey.
100%.
But yeah, that's the most disappointing thing, because I absolutely loved my first year at Forest. It was one of my favourite seasons.
Fair. And I also think that's back to the ownership. Like, obviously, both owners, well, this current owner and previous owner, have promised fans, I think, a bit too much. So, like, when you're telling fans, oh, the plan is to get this and this year, and then it doesn't happen, then fans obviously get annoyed and turn back. And you can see it happening this season already. The owners are under pressure. And that brings us on to the next point. Obviously, you weren't there for too long with new ownerships, but I know they treated you like shit. But I want to know, is it true about this bomb squad? I don't know if you know.
Yeah, but that's at every football club. That's at every football club, mate.
Right.
The reality is, like, if you've got a first team squad of 25, 28 players, you can only take, 20 on a match day squad. Yeah. So what are the other 8 doing? And if a manager comes in and says to the board, the chief exec, whatever, listen, these 8 players, 10 players, I want to leave, and that would free up X amount of money for me then to bring in a couple that I want, that those 8 are going to get pushed into isolation to breaking point, to either move because they need to do it for their career. Some will be on big money. So, like, they're like, well, I can't get this money elsewhere, so I'm not going to walk away from my contract because I signed it in good faith to play for you, and now you've changed your mind on me. That's not fair. So you'll just get but that's every single football club. Look, Metaverse have been in it for however long at Arsenal. You know, it's just
a player that comes
is.
into mind at Forest with the current squad, and I see him nearly every day at work. He comes to my workplace nearly every single day, and that's Zach Clough. And he says like the way he's been trekked from the top of the club to the bottom is just. Really, he says it's not.
Yeah, great friend of mine. No, great friend of mine. Obviously, had time at Bolton. Come to Forest, you know, done well. Scored against Derby. You know, made a decent enough start. But manager turns over, just for whatever reason, thinks I don't want you, and then that's it. It's difficult.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Do you think it's more maybe not having a squad's like fair enough you don't want, but is it the way we treat the players? Do you think? Like, there's no.
I wouldn't say. Well, I mean, you know, I've spoke about my experience with kind of the Greek owners, or at least, you know, some of his hangers on, whatever you call them. But that's at every club, mate. It's at every club. That's why I think, you know, if fans actually think about what it would be like if that was their son or them in that position where they're sitting on a 2-year contract and the club just turn around and say, like, you're rubbish, we want you to leave. Mm-hmm. Like, how does that feel? And, like, you know, if you've got a family and you've just bought a house, for example, in Nottingham, you're thinking, I've just bought a house, I've just paid stamp duty. Like, I thought I was going to be here for the next 2-3 years. And now you're saying I need to leave. Like, I need to be compensated for that. Or, you know, all these types of things come in. So, you know, to get fans going like, oh, why won't he leave? He's rubbish, we don't want him. It's like, it's not just as simple as it's not transactional. There's a lot that goes in, you know, behind the scenes.
Right, should we look at move on to a more positive note now? There's 2 questions, Matt, straight away. Your favourite goal for Forest, and who was the best player you played with at Forest?
Best goal for Forest is probably Middlesbrough.
Mm-hmm.
Just because...
Volley? Yeah,
volley. It was a set piece that I kind of asked the manager if we could do, and we'd worked on it, and I mean, I was meant to head it, but it was a decent connection. Good for the good one for the camera reel to keep in the back pocket. In terms of the best player, I mean, Mikel was on fire when I was there, but obviously didn't play with him for so long because he got off. I was really impressed with Lansbury. I thought he was really good. When I first went, I thought he's a bit soft around the edges, Lansbury. But to be fair to him, he loved to tackle. Like, you could mix it and go and, you know, play. Remember, he played away at Birmingham. He played an defensive midfield role, and he was heading it, clearing it, and fair play to him. I thought he was good. Thought David Vaughan was quality. You know, really, really tiny footballer. There are others, but those 3 immediately stand out.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough, mate. Obviously, one last thing about the current owners. With the current owners, can you see the club moving forward, or are we just going to keep?
We're moving on to. I thought we were talking on moving on to positive.
I know, but I skip
my positive for us. We're looking for the future.
Yeah, we're positive. Can we hope? Obviously, Houghton is well regarded in this league. Fantastic manager. Everywhere he goes, does a job. I just want to know, like, do you think we've got a positive future or not, or do you think it's the same circle?
I mean, the ownership is a funny one, because I remember speaking to Fawaz about this, and he spoke, you know, just flat out just said, I've invested this much money into a football club. And I was like, bloody hell, that's a lot of money, mate. So the new owners are incredibly driven, right? You could tell that as soon as they come in. You know, they're talking about the new training grounds and investing this, that, and the other. And I don't know how that works with FFP, but they're driven, so they're going to financially back the club. The problem you've got is you know, Karanka came in, for example, and on the last day of deadline day when I left, he's, you know, looking at YouTube videos and trying to sign players, and you're just like, there's no, because they need like instant results, or otherwise they're sacked. So they're just like panic buying. There's no sit back. Let's just have 6 months of just working out what the squad needs, targeting players that we need to get. It's just so reactive. There's no strategy involved in, and it's just like, for me, it was draining to be a part of. But for me, Forest have just got caught in that space of like, we want it now. Like, yeah, he looks good, we'll buy him. It's like, wait there. Like, if you actually thought if we need him, like, because we've got 7 players that play in that position. So for me, I don't know what the future holds with Forest for sure. But I mean, the owners have got money, which helps. But have they got the right people and the right bums on right seats to make right decisions?
Yeah,
fair enough. Right. That was the last one. I do apologise. Going back to that. So obviously after Forest, went to a few clubs: Barnsley, Pune City, and Forest Green Rovers. But I want to talk about your time in India. What was that like, and what was the decision to go there?
So obviously the move to Barnsley, on reflection, it was a poor decision. But like I said to you before, listen, I've always played. So when a club's telling me they want me to leave, I thought the age that I was at, okay, I'll go and play for 4 months left of the season, put myself in the shop window to get another move. In reality, I could have just chilled at Forest for 4 months and probably gone and signed a 2-year contract at a Championship club. But me being probably a bit naive, I went out and played and got injured in the 3rd game and then didn't play for the rest of the season. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, he's 32. He's injury prone. Bearing in mind, I played like 40 games, a season for 10 years. It just then puts you in a weaker position to obviously get a contract. So went into that summer, trained with the Saudi Arabian team out in Austria, got called back to the UK to have a medical at Sunderland, but the deal fell through. Again, down to finances, they were a shambles at the time in terms of the way they were being run. Mm-hmm. And then I went into Wigan to train, and they just were lowballing me in terms of, I know what my worth is. It's difficult being a footballer. So to commit yourself to a year of living a certain way and kind of not having a life, basically, I just thought I'm not doing it for that. And then the opportunity come up to India. I've always wanted to play abroad. So I just thought, let's go and give it a go. Play football in the sun, experience a different culture. Why not? I was just mentally drained in the UK.
Fair enough. What was the standard like in India then? Like, what is the standard or the difference in football and style compared to India and England?
Yeah, so Danny Fox is out there at the minute, actually. So I speak to him a little bit about it. It's better than what I thought. But then at times, like, worse than what I thought. It's quite bizarre because you obviously 11 players on the pitch, you're allowed 5 foreign players on the pitch at any given time. So more often than not, you'd have 1 centre half, a centre midfielder, 3 strikers. Yeah. So if you can imagine, I'm playing centre half with 3 Indian lads playing against 3 South Americans.
Yeah,
it's quite tough when the Indian boys are kind of getting dragged out of position, and so it can be difficult. But the foreign players, like, individually, are technically, tactically really good. But no, it was a great experience. It's something that I look back on, and I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah, 100%. And then obviously finished your career at Forest Green. How was that time there?
Yeah, so I came back and was thinking about going back to Australia. Got offers to go back to India. But being away from the kids was quite tough. So my little brother was playing at Forest Green. I liked the way they played. I was looking at doing some coaching stuff. So I got offered a player coach role there. Right. And I always wanted to play with my younger brother at some point in my career. So yeah, it kind of ticked a few boxes.
Oh, fair enough. And obviously now you do a bit of punditry for Sky. How are you finding that?
I love it. I absolutely love it, to be honest. More than I've enjoyed football for a long time. So no, that's good. Fingers crossed. I can continue with that. I'm mentioned to Jack before that I'm working in the family business, so kind of day to day I'm very, very busy, and the Sky stuff's just like a passion, really.
One thing that I've noticed with obviously the punditry stuff alongside everything is that a lot of people slate the pundits that beat around the bush and thing. One thing I like about you, straight to the point. Whether you like it or not, you are to the point. And you mentioned earlier in the podcast that that's how you like to, when a club was recruiting you, we're doing it this way. This is how we're going to do it. This is like the way we're going to do it. Yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I can see why some pundits are, sit on the fence a little bit, especially if you're a manager and you're looking for a new job. You probably can't be saying, look at the state of him, because the next minute you might be trying to get a job there, and all of a sudden, like, it's just a bit of a conflict, isn't it? So I guess I've got no agenda in the sense, but guys, I'm straight talking guy at the best of times. I'll call it as I see it, rightly or wrongly. It's my opinion, so kind of just feel entitled to it. I feel like if I can back it up with, some evidence and what I'm seeing, then I think people will be accepting of it.
Fair enough. And if you could speak to yourself when you were like 18 or any other 18-year-olds out there, what advice would you give yourself or other 18-year-olds?
Advice in terms of my experience now, or what?
Yeah.
What kind of?
So if you knew what you know now back then, what would you tell yourself?
No, I think I was pretty clued up. To be fair, I kind of got around senior pros who had a thick skin, who had been through it, seen the way in which football clubs treat players, and vice versa. You talk about no loyalties in football. So I think I went into it with my eyes pretty much wide open. I think the moves that you make are probably bigger than what I thought. I mean, there's obviously the financial element to it, but there's also the geographical side of it. What does the board look like? How stable is the club? Because when I left Leicester to go to Bolton, obviously I didn't know that the owner was going to leave a year later and the club was going to basically go, massively downhill. So I can't beat myself up about that, but I probably should have gone to Celtic instead of Bolton at that time. But it's all hindsight, isn't it? Because I think that move then, my stock was extremely high, obviously, at Leicester, and then going to Bolton. Although I probably played my best football, arguably in my second season at Bolton, the team was a mid-table, lower league championship team. So people just automatically think, "Oh, he must not be doing very well." Then that really kind of, I think that really kind of killed me, really.
Fair enough. And where would you like to be in like 5 years' time? Would you want to do more punditry, or are you looking to get into coaching more? What's kind of a rough plan?
No, I'm pretty happy with where I'm landing at the minute. I think 5 years down the line, I'll obviously still be in the family business. I'd love to really kind of make strides in the media stuff. I'm trying to reach. I'm trying to go about it differently. I'm not got an agent. I'm just speaking to people that I know within the game. Try and get an opportunity and take it for what it is. If people think that I'm good, then hopefully I'll get more work. If they don't think I'm very good, then I probably won't get any more work. I don't want to be like using agents to be like getting me in certain places if I'm not very good. I want people to judge me on performances.
Fair enough. Well, that's all it for my questions. Jack, you got any questions?
No, it's all done. Matt, do you want to say anything to any Forest fans listening or anything? Or?
No, just for anyone that's listening, thank you very much for my time at Forest. Absolutely loved it. And hopefully see you soon when all this COVID's over and we can get back to City Ground. It'd be nice to come down and watch Forest at any time.
Yeah, and we'd love to have you on the podcast back in the future.
Cool.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.